Thakanki, all praises to Yohewa, Wakantanga. Praise be to the earthly mother, the Pachamama, and all of her earthly angels, the Huacacuna. Praise be to the Huacan Samai, the Shekinah, the Holy Spirit, in the name of Matsah, Yuehan, unification to the nation. So guys, this is something I wanted to talk about for a very long time, but I'm finally starting to get around to it. And I think this is going to be a very good series. We're going to touch on a little bit of history on ancient India. Now, please do not expect too much of me because there is so much history in ancient India, and it's probably just as much, if not more, than the history of China, which is why I have not studied or touched on those two topics on my channel, because that is an entire big journey. And when I like to do research, I like to weigh out everything, or as much things as I can, to get a broad scope so I can properly explain things and get a better perspective. But even so, I'm not going to be able to do that. So the only thing I'm going to be able to do is make connections. So that's what you guys are going to get from me in the series. This is not me saying that this is this, but you be the judge. I'm going to give you correlational research, and you be the judge. So, we are going to start off in Legend of the Jews. And first, we're going to go to, I don't know what page this is, or chapter. They don't really have pages or chapters, but says Lessons in Humility. And we're going to read. Great and powerful as Solomon was, and wise and just, still occasions were not lacking to bring home to him the truth that the wisest and mightiest of mortals may not indulge in pride and arrogance. You see, pride and arrogance is the reason why Solomon truly fell. Now, there are many different reasons, but what made him stay in a fall was his pride and arrogance. You know, his hundreds of women, did it. All of the possessions that he gained for himself also contributed to it. But this is what kept him in that state. Solomon had a precious piece of tapestry. Now, I want you guys to watch out for this, this quote-unquote translation, because I want you to let me know if this makes any sense. This is tapestry, right? Meaning some sort of a cloth. 60 miles square, on which he flew through the air so swiftly that he could eat breakfast in Damascus and supper in Media. To carry out his orders, he had his Bek and called Asaph ben Berikhiah among men, Ramirat among demons, the lion among beasts, and the eagle among birds. Once it happened that pride possessed Solomon while he was sailing through the air on his carpet. So that's where you get the legend of the magic carpet, right? The flying carpet. You know that movie Aladdin, we're about to get to it, because I want to tell you what that movie was truly a story about. It was about Solomon. And he said, there is none like unto me in the world, upon whom God has bestowed sagacity, wisdom, intelligence, and knowledge, besides making me the ruler of the world. The same instant the air stirred, and 40,000 men dropped from the magic carpet. Hold on. First of all, this dude has a magic carpet. He's flying people around. But did he say 40,000 men? 40,000. How is a 6-mile square foot carpet going to hold 40,000 men? Do you know how much? I don't think I've ever seen 40,000. I think I've seen a few thousand just being around Times Square and stuff. How much is 40,000, bro? Like, bro, 40,000? That's crazy. So that's what I want to read. He has some sort of flying vehicle, right? We don't know if it was actually a carpet or not. It could, maybe that was a big ass carpet. Maybe it had stairs. Maybe it had stories. Maybe the carpet had stories, bro. Maybe Exhibit got on that piece, bro. I don't know, bro. But anyway, did you know that quote unquote Lord Rama had a flying vehicle? Now, I've gone over who Rama, or who I think Rama was, and I've already told you I think Rama is Solomon. But now, we're going to get even further. Because this is how I believe, the Father allows me to see things. He gives me a piece, I say it on YouTube, and then I'm like, okay, that was a bit of a leap. But, I have faith in what you're showing me. And then he'll show me something else that verifies that. And he'll keep doing that over and over again. So it's just crazy. But anyway. Let me see where I wanted to read. Actually, I don't even need to read this. So, whenever you see pictures or depictions of Rama, he is always depicted as being blue or black. Right? Now, over time, they have lightened this man up, of course. But originally, Rama, in his oldest form, was a very dark-skinned man. It's even in the meaning of his name. His name means to be dark-skinned, meaning dark as night, or to be very, very handsome. He was both of those things. And the legend of Rama says that every time he was around people, he made people feel very good. And even in the legend of the Jews, Solomon would go around on his flying carpet granting people wishes. Anything that they wished, he granted. So that definitely coincides with the meaning of Rama. He made people feel good when they were around him. He was good looking, and he was very dark skinned. Right? Now, even in the oldest depictions of Sita, she is always very yellow. So I'm like, okay, she probably always looked like that. But Rama, of course, they lightened him up. And then, as I was looking at that verse in the Song of Solomon, where it was like, don't look at me because I'm black or something like that, right? And I'm like, that's interesting because that's very similar to Asian culture, Indian culture. And I don't know if that's a recent thing or not. It seems more ancient, honestly, than not. And I don't really know where it comes from. I did some research, but I couldn't really put a finger on where it really comes from. But either way, it's something similar that the people, at least in that area of the people of Judah, they had some sort of thing going on with skin color. Because why would Solomon say that? Why would he say don't judge me because I'm black? I'm also good looking, right? Like, why would he say that? So a lot of things really definitely remind me of India, Asia, as far as the context of what some of these texts are talking about. Right? You guys already know where I think that the center point and where the land of Jerusalem is. But there's a difference between Jerusalem and Judah. Judah is all the lands of Judah. Jerusalem is a land mass with the city of David as the center point of that land mass. So there's a difference. Another thing, you will always see that there is some sort of sunlight behind Rama. And this goes back to his lineage of the Ikshavaku Kings, or what are called as the Solar Kings, where they themselves claim to be the descendants of the sun. There you will see a common theme. This is why you also saw the same theme among some of those depictions of the disciples and quote unquote Christ, where he always has a sun behind him and stuff like that. They got that from us. They got that from the solar kings, the descendants of the sun, the people who have a direct access to the sun, which has an access to the Father, the chosen people. Right? But anyway, well, I'm going to go over all that in 1 second. So this is Rama's flying vehicle. And we're going to read it in a second. Now, this is going to talk about his dealings with the Queen of Sheba, but I just want to skip down here real quick. Thou axest, who are these kings, legions and riders of Solomon? The beasts of the field are my kings, the birds are my riders, the demons, spirit, and shades of the night, my legions. My demons will throttle you in your beds at night, while the beasts will slay you in the field, and the birds will consume your flesh. But he says, the birds my riders. Why would he say that? Because the birds, he was using these birds to ride on them. And there's a picture of Rama returning to Ayadya. Returning to Ayadya by way of his aircraft. So people are asking the question because some of these things that they're writing about Rama and the Ramayana and things of that sort, they're just like, bro, this stuff is kind of crazy. Like, did this stuff even exist? And this person wrote, behind all mythologies, there is usually some history. So most probably there was a great king called Rama in the ancient times who did good deeds. And there's another depiction of it. Now, look at this. You have birds flying this, what? You could say this is a tapestry or something of the sort, right? But this is damn near like a castle. A flying castle. This is crazy. You have 4 birds flying it. It may be mentioned that in the Sanskrit Ramayana of Valmiki, Rama was a great king, but not a god. He became a god later. I said that, last year when I made the video about Rama. He wasn't literally a god. He became like that afterward. Like a lot of different legends. In fact, most different legends. So, Rama evolved from a man to a god in the course of 2,000 or 3,000 years. Pushpak V-Man is just a poet's imagination. Please remember that the Ramayana is an epic poem. Okay. We make ourselves a laughingstock before the whole world by claiming that in ancient India there were aeroplanes, atomic bombs, and guided missiles. Okay. I don't know how you make yourself a laughingstock. You're making yourself a laughingstock to the idiots and the foolish people. But let me see. Look at this, bro. This is Rama. This is Sita. Or you can say that this is Solomon and this is the Queen of Sheba. Riding on the tapestry with the bird as his rider. Among other things, there is a cultural boat ride inside a tunnel, and we went on it. Inside this tunnel are scenes from ancient Indian history. Many of these are truthful, like Shushruta doing a surgery. Okay, blah blah blah. There was a scene showing an airplane allegedly built in ancient India. Afterwards, I went to the head priest of the temple, who was very kind and courteous to me. I told him while the other scenes were truthful and should certainly be shown to people who should know about the great achievements of our ancestors. You don't know if those are your ancestors, you just know that they were there in those lands, but okay. The scene of an airplane in India was false. There was no airplanes. Showing such falsehood dilutes. I'm sorry, I blanked out on that word. The great achievements of our ancestors by mixing truth with falsehood. No, bro. No, bro. No, bro. You just think it's too crazy to be true, like most other people. But don't worry, I got you. And this airplane is called the Vimana. Vimana are mythical flying palaces or chariots described in Hindu texts and Sanskrit epics. The Pushpaka Vimana of Ravana, who took it from Kibura, Rama returned it to Kibura, is the most quoted example of a Vimana. Vimanas are also mentioned in Jan texts. Well, if they're mentioned in Jan texts, and I don't know when we'll go over Jan, the religion of Jainism and stuff like that, and its connection with the ancient Israelites. But if it's saying it in there as well, what does that tell you? It's more than just a story. There's something to it, right? The Sanskrit word vamana literally means measuring out, transversing, or having been measured out. Or a car or a chariot of gods, any self-moving aerial car, sometimes serving as a seat or throne, sometimes self-moving and carrying its occupant through the air. Other descriptions make the Vamana more like a house or a palace, and one kind is said to be 7 stories high. In some Indian languages like Tamil and the rest of these, it means aircraft. Look at that, bro. Howl's Moving Castle, bro. Come on, bro. Even though I don't think that was... I've never actually watched the whole movie. This shit was kind of boring to me. My sister likes the movie, though. But I don't think that was a flying one. Vimanas of various shapes and sizes with 2 or more engines were sophisticated flying machines equipped with deadly weapons. And though they were used for ordinary travel and transports, their main purpose was warfare. Well, in Rama's case, it was to go to different places. The Vedas, and we'll also go over the Vedas at some point. What the heck? Thought to be the oldest of all the Indian texts, describe Vamanas of various shapes and sizes. Wait, hold up. Yo, can you close my window? Thank you. Anihorta Vamana with 2 engines, the elephant Vamana with more engines, and other types named after the king's fisher. Let me see. According to the Veda, the Surya Dev, god of sun, and Indra, god of thunder, and several other Vedic deities are transported by flying, wheeled chariots, depicted to be pulled by animals, usually horses. So let's go over Aladdin. Now, I'm not going to, literally play the movie. You guys should know the plot. If you don't, go watch the movie. But Aladdin is a story about a peasant, right? As a peasant, Aladdin is the peasant. He runs into Jasmine, who is pretending to be a peasant because she is sick of being held down or held back because of her royal status. Aladdin would love to be a royal. They see each other, they meet, and they like each other. Aladdin, he is a chosen entity in this movie. So the sorcerer Jafar, he uses him to try to obtain this lamp. In this lamp is a genie that grants wishes, 3 wishes. And in this same cave where Aladdin found this lamp was a flying carpet. Aladdin uses a wish by the genie to become a king, to try to get Jasmine. Now, I'm going to stop right there to show you the similarities. In Legend of the Jews, Solomon was given a very hard time by David at the beginning of his life. But this was done by David so that Solomon could grow up with some sort of humility. Right? Because Solomon's being born in an incredibly rich family. So he made Solomon go through hardships so that he could, be suitable to rule. Right? So you can say that that's Solomon being in his poor stage, in his Aladdin stage at the beginning of the movie. Towards the middle of the movie, that is when Solomon, or Aladdin, is able to gain a lot of his wealth and riches. He gains his magic carpet, he gains his genie, and the genie is actually a sealed demon. The genie is a sealed demon. Solomon sealed the demons, and made them work for him and grant him wishes and do whatever he asked them to do. That's what it was. And with this, Solomon bagged Queen Sheba. But because of Solomon's arrogance, he fell. Now, do you know why Aladdin fell? Because of his arrogance. Because he promised that he would use the genie's last wish to free the genie, and he was having second thoughts. And because he had second thoughts, things went to hell. And because of Aladdin's arrogance, Aladdin was made back into a poor man at the end of the movie. Solomon, towards the end of his life, spent 3 years as a beggar because of the wrong things that he did in his life. Do you see how this movie is perfectly based on the story of Solomon? It's crazy, bro. This nigga is a demon, bro. I'm telling you, he's a demon. He is a sealed demon. And this is Rama. Rama was known for being incredibly rich, incredibly wealthy, gold everywhere. And whenever you see depictions of Rama and Sita, the older you get is the more dark Rama seems to get. He seems to get more bluer and bluer. I couldn't find the one that they literally depict him as being black. This is like the closest one I could find. Now, this is the trident that I think is it Vishnu or she? I think it's Vishnu. And I think that he's supposed to be like an avatar of Vishnu or something of the sort. But he also sports this trident sometimes, right? Because they say that he's a incarnation of this Vishnu entity. I don't know that much about, like, you know, their religion and stuff like that. I'm sure there's definitely some stuff to it, you know, but it's mixed up with nonsense. The same way how I be getting on the Ifa religion. Some of the Ifa religion is, you know, you can say it's correct or it's right, but when something usually mixed with something, I try to throw it all away and reconstruct it. So I would have to learn the whole thing for me to want to sanction the practice of it. You know, for myself, like, people could do what they want, but I'm just talking about for me. Now, if you guys didn't see the video I did on the... It's kind of loud. If you guys didn't see the video that I did on the Udaya Adri, or Mount Meru, this was the place where, that the Ramayana said was the place where the sun rises first on earth. Now, the sun is supposed to rise first on earth at the east, or the orient, or the center of the world. This is where they said that the sun rises first. So they're saying without saying that Peru is the place that is the center of the world. Specifically Peru. And this is the place, this is the home of the celestials, the home of the quote-unquote gods. Because they knew that this is the Garden of Eden. So, let's read this. This is 1 Kings chapter 9, verse 27 and 28. And Hiram sent his servants, men who knew the sea, to serve in the fleet with Solomon's servants. They sailed to Ophir and imported gold from there, 420 talents, and delivered it to Solomon. So, This is where you get into the Austronesian, people groups, right? I'm not saying that every single Austronesian is one of the children of Israel. I'm saying that they're a similar group of people. For you to know who is who, you have to, one, get into tribal research, but more importantly, you need to ask the Most High. I cannot answer that question for you. I can tell you, hey, they're associated with the Israelites. The Mexicans are associated with the Israelites, but not everyone in Mexico was an Israelite, pre-Columbian or post-Columbian. So I can't tell you. That's for you to know. And you can say that about any other group. Literally every single group. I don't know. You gotta ask. You have to establish a relationship. You just have to. Later on, I don't know when, but I'm gonna speak about the Garifuna and their relationship that they have with the island that I come from, St. Vincent. We have a good amount of Garifuna people on the island of St. Vincent, but upon studying, I think that they're the ancient Canaanites. No disrespect to any of them, but I truly do think that. I'm sure I have relatives that are a part of the Garifuna. I'm sure I'm related to them in some sort of way, being from the island of St. Vincent. I don't look like them, but and nor does my father, nor does my family, but I could, right? I'm not saying this. I'm saying this to be honest. I'm just being honest, right? I'm not making it a lock because, I'm from a certain place, that's who I am. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, hey, the children of Israel were here. Are you that? I don't know. That's between you and the Most High. I gave you that, and I'll do what you will with it. You feel me? So it's the same thing with the Austronesian people groups that were traveling the seas, right? There were a bunch of different nations among the Austronesians. They are pretty much like the Phoenicians or the Pacifics. In fact, they kind of are the same people, right? The same people. So please don't ask me. I can't tell you, bro. Maybe I could look into tribal research, and maybe you might have something. Some people have, closer tribal ties and stuff like that than others to the children of Israel. But I don't know. Anyway, we're in 2 Chronicles chapter 9, verse 20 to 22. All of Solomon's cups were gold, and all the utensils of the house of the forest of Lebanon were pure gold. There was no silver, because it was accounted as nothing in the days of Solomon. For it was accounted as nothing in the days of Solomon. For the king had ships of Tarshish that went with Hiram's servants, and once every 3 years the ships of Tarshish would arrive bearing gold, silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks. Now, it didn't say that they went to Tarshish. This is something that people get confused. It says that they're ships of Tarshish, meaning the ships were made at Tarshish. Made with the materials from Tarshish, meaning iron, meaning England, meaning Spain. That area. It's talking about that area. But they went to the Pacifics. That's why you find Ogham inscriptions in South Africa. These were all of the port places that Solomon went to, his people and things of that sort. Right? And in fact, I keep saying this, I just have a lot of stuff to cover, but you will find the Ogham inscriptions even among the Inca. Anyway, and King Solomon surpassed all the kings of the earth in riches and wisdom. So they were of pure gold, and there were no silver, because there was nothing in those days. What does that remind me of? Who else were a people group who damn near had no silver because the Inca didn't have silver until recently, but before everything was pure gold. In fact, Oyatetampu was literally a golden palace that the sun shined upon, and that gold, it sparkled up the rest of the Andes and make the hills sing. These are all the legends that are among the peoples in Peru. All these amazing places made out of gold. Everything that the Inca had was pure gold. And all I'm saying is, could that possibly be the same two group of people? Possibly. For the Inca, gold was the blood of Viracocha, their sun god. He is now commonly considered the chief god, at least in pre-Incan cultures. Now, Viracocha, he takes on some of the characteristics of Baal, but Viracocha is actually supposed to be Matza, because his name actually means living waters. They say it means fat lake. No, it means living waters. So, originally, he's supposed to be based on that person. But what the ancient Israelites did is they mixed religions with the ancient Canaanites and came up with their own god, and put a lot of these characteristics of Baal onto the Most High. And that's what was bothering the Most High the most. Right? So gold was very important to them. They had both religious and ornamental value. Ornamental. Cups. Ikshavaku was the first king of Kosala of Kosala kingdom. We don't know that, but and one of the 10 sons of Sharadhadeva Manu, the first man on earth. He was the founder of the first king of the Ikshavaku dynasty, known as the Shurya Vansha, and the kingdom of Kosala in ancient India. Again, you don't know where it was. You don't know if that was in Kosala. You don't know where it was. Now, you can say I don't know where it was, but we both don't know where it was. You like, come on now. It's the same thing with, bro. Think of stuff like this where they try to say that ancient Israel's in the Middle East. Unless you can prove that, I'm not believing it. Or I'm going to come up with another theory, and we'll see which one holds up better. But I truly think that these people were a people group from South America. Truly. Now the Ikshavaku Kings, or the Ikshavaku, were known as the Solar Dynasty. Solar Dynasty, or Ikshavaku Dynasty, was founded by the legendary king Ikshavaku. The dynasty was known as Surya Vamsa, or descendants of the sun. According to Buddhist texts and tradition, Gautama Buddha descended from this dynasty. Gautama Buddha. Guatemala. I think Kurimeo just did a video on that. I'm not getting into all that. This is a bit too much. We're going to skip down. Manu settled down in Aryavarta, in the Aryavarta region, which again I believe is in Peru, after he survived the Great Flood. This person states that Manu is the one who built a city on Sarayu, and called it Ayadya, meaning the invisible city. So remember Ayadya. This city served as the capital of many kings from the Solar Dynasty and is believed to be the birthplace of Rama. Rama was a part of the Ikshavaku dynasty, the Solar Dynasty, the descendants of the sun. Now, what does Ayadya mean? The word Ayadya is regularly formed, is a regularly formed derivation of the Sanskrit verb yud, to fight, to wage war. Yadya is the future passive participle, meaning to be fought. The initial A is a negative prefix. So Yadya means to fight or to be fought. So Ayadya means not to be fought. So the city of no fighting, the city of peace. the city of Shalom. Were the Ikshavaku Kings the same as the Inca? So I want to show you this in Emperor's New Groove real quick. Just so you can see what I'm talking about. Just so you can have a visual representation of what I mean by all this damn gold. Hold on, guys. It's lagging a bit. I'm being very meticulous for a reason. Pay attention to this comb, right? This is not just a yellow comb. Pay attention to it. They made it a point to show that there's a reflection on this. This is gold, and so is all this other stuff. It's all gold. And he has no care for it. He just flung it over there. Because that's what they were doing. They literally were playing with gold like they were just rocks. Like, it was nothing, bro. That's gold too. You see all this yellow is gold. This is gold. That's gold. These things, I don't know what these are. The throne is gold. The scissors are gold. It's all gold, bro. So, that's how the kings of Judah were living. So, that's what I wanted to do for this part. And, stay tuned. May peace be with you.